Thanks again for rejoining us on the program TMI Monday. Well, specifically, we're reaching all our viewers on satellite, Go TV channel 107, StarTimes channel 130, and also online via our website at www.itvregionnigeria.com/live. I have with me in the studio Tony Abolo. We call him Uncle T because he's a veteran broadcaster, media consultant, and a public affairs commentator. Many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
And I also have with us Bishop Austin Igbasan. Bishop Austin, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Okay, let me start with Tony. Yeah, the statement made by Yari, the governor of Zamfara State, seems to be generating a whole lot of controversy. What is really special about this? Isn't this what has been agitated for so long in the guise of state police and community policing?
I agree. What I'd say almost immediately is that in the life of every nation, there is a defining moment. And like Shakespeare would say, there are tides in the affairs of men. And if we ride with the tide, we can overcome our problems. But the challenge we have is that we're having a very non-active citizenship. People are not given to the nation. For a man from Zamfara, completely out of the way when we're not talking about grazing and open grazing and whatever it is, the bill or no bill, this is just a bunch of bandits. And they're attacking citizens of Zamfara State. And we all, as a people, ought to be concerned. It is not even to be left to the commander-in-chief, not to be left to the head of state, but it also raises the question of the capacity of the security chiefs of this country. People have said, who are these people? Who made them IG? Who made them chief of army staff? Who made them chief of navy? Who did? And you know, if you go back to the original story, they said for their original appointment, the head of state called for their files. At least I read that. And that he personally approved based on merit. And I would have thought, after these years and after this nondescript performance, you ought to even send them off. You don't even need Nigerians to agitate. And now, when Yari now says, look, we are having a concern. Do you know, I don't know if you read it, he's demonstrating today in Abuja, and he's calling on Nigerians to join him in front of the police headquarters to demonstrate and say enough of this nonsense. But what has given rise to it? It's a non-democratic military constitution we inherited. If you had an active judicial, people who are having judicial activism, lawyers who are active, they would have challenged this constitution a long time ago. How do you make someone, you know, we wrote a military constitution, and it suited us, and we didn't know that security is a primary thing and a concern of a government. Now you now say a state governor should just be the chief security officer by name, and he doesn't have troops. He can't command anybody. Then what kind of chief security officer? So the man is now saying, to hell with all this kind of nonsense naming ceremony. I just want to be a governor of Zamfara State. Leave me with that power, and let's deal with it. And then it also queries the capacity of the judgment of the CNC. How do you allow people, you renewed the chief security officer's tenure, without asking yourself, are they performing?
Have they delivered?
You didn't ask that. You just renewed it, and we just go on like this. Are we going to continue this killing? What's the difference between Nigeria and Guatemala, Colombia, Mexico? We're just in the same situation. Somalia. I mean, is this what Nigeria ought to be? These are the fundamental questions.
Okay, Bishop, was it that statement by Governor Yari, because in my earlier conversation with our first set of guests, I read it, you know, quoting him, the reasons why he is not abdicating the responsibility as chief security officer, being that he can't control the security command structures in the state, but he controls the security vote.
It's an irony. When you blend the two together, it's like you give money to someone to run something, but you did not give the person the capacity, that is the authority, to be able to command what happened. I think what the issue of security vote, to me, is just a kind of settlement, is just a kind of fund that are given to governors to enjoy themselves. To me, that is what I see about security vote. And that's why some of us even were talking that such vote should be wiped up. Now, if you say a man cannot give an instruction to Commissioner of Police, yet you give me so much money to run security, how do you want the man to effectively really do it? Because half of that money you are talking about is just the money for the boys on monthly basis. And in as much that money keeps coming, there's not going to be improvement anywhere. My own quote is that if you say somebody is a chief security officer of his state and he cannot even have his own input, you are bringing troop. The man himself cannot tell you. He is the one on ground. He's the one that knows the terrain. He's the one that has some information within his own office, yeah, to be able to say, oh, in so area, this is a flash point, this is a hotspot, this and that. And the man cannot make it available to the troop. And even when he makes it available, they might not even listen to him because he's not giving instruction directly to them. Yeah. Then I think the governors, by that kind of design, makes them a toothless bulldog. That money is only meant, is a money for the boys. The recess, it's just a settlement, monthly settlement for the boys. And that's why some of us even, we kick against it. If you say the man is a chief security officer and he cannot give instruction to Commissioner of Police, they cannot even transfer a sergeant, an area officer. Even if he knows that somebody is not performing well, whatever he says is subject to what Abuja is going to, the verdict from Abuja. I feel that that money is just a settlement and it's not needed. It's not really needed because it's just a settlement for the boys. And on a monthly basis, governors are excited to collect that one. They can do anything. They can fight you to anywhere if you said that money should not come. Because that money is like an inheritance that they are excited about, even though if anybody is dying, if that small governor's family are not dying. So for this man to cry out now, I feel that the heat is much. Because number one, Minister of Defense is from Zamfara. And the governor himself is saying that on daily basis, people are being murdered and the cry is much. I feel that except few commissioner of police who are professional, like in Edo State here, when Omojola was here, he was professional. When the other man who became DIG is also a Yoruba guy who was here, was professional. When they're having challenge in a House of Assembly, he stood as a policeman to be professional about it. That despite this government at the center, they are not the one in Edo State, but the man was professional enough to manage that crisis of House of Assembly, what the governor wants him to do, and what the federal government. These guys were professional, but only few of them you see around today because you see whatever is happening is controlled by Abuja. But those guys, they stick their neck. They stick their neck to say, I'm a professional police officer. I will not be moved by whatever is happening in Abuja. Let me do what is, I better from here go on retirement. I remember one of them was taking, both commissioner of police I mentioned here were moved from here to NIPS. But they prefer to go to NIPS and be inside the cooler there, but they have done their best in Edo State then. Okay.
All right, Tony, yeah, quickly, the issue of insecurity is getting bigger by the day. I thought for a moment, with all the posthumous award, the change in democracy, this celebration, to a large extent helped to douse or distract the attention of the citizens from all of this issue. But now, looks like Yari has,
stoked the fire.
Yeah, again.
Yes. Actually, we as a people, let's look at our own social psychology. We love the good life. Nigerians want to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. So because of that, we never ever thought that security is a core issue. You see, we have to look at the nexus between bad, consistently bad and poor governance for 58 years, the lifestyle of the political class, the joblessness, unemployment, the lack of hope, and again, even this security vote you even raised. So people are just spending money. To what purpose? So until you find that, we must plow and govern well and keep the people happy. Because there is no happiness anymore in this country. When you look at even the insecurity situation, you may be in Dutse. Dutse, you are safe. But if you're outside Dutse, how safe are you? In Benin, we are safe. Well, you go to the Ubiaza, Ilushi, Idogbo. How do you feel comfortable at night? What kind of a country is this? How did you degenerate into this? You would have thought that the governors themselves plus the head of state, ought to wake up. Because if we are not safe, talking about election or no re-election, it's a waste of time. Yeah. And we've had, even if you want to borrow what happened in Kwara, again, because we are the kind of people we are, so insensitive and dumb to even to a situation. How do we keep continuing young people to become a feeding stock for politicians? All they do is create mayhem, create trouble, carry snatch boxes.
For the benefit of politicians.
For the benefit of politicians. And as long as you have that, you just keep spreading guns and light arms all over the whole place. And that is not how to raise the people. We ought to give value to the young people. We ought to give value to ordinary Nigerians. Because if everybody was engaged and active and meaningfully contributing to the nation, we'll not be in this mess. But the head of state, I'm not sure that is his priority. Because if he was, this matter should have been addressed very seriously. But then, you see, there's a question I want to raise. And to me, it is fundamental. We have to begin to ask ourselves, how do we make these appointments of chief security chiefs? You have to look at the educational system. There is something fundamentally wrong. You can't ask somebody in this country to enter higher institution, cutoff point 18. Then you ask another person in another state, cutoff point 65. Another one, cutoff point 96. They all go to the same school. What is the level of intelligence? Have we asked ourselves that question? And we continue perpetuating this. And who are those who end up taking the decisions? Who end up being promoted to the very top? It is those who started with cutoff point 18 are the ones who now begin to take core decisions, and they're incompetent to take those decisions. Otherwise, look at when they attack the IG. Oh, he said, why should they say, why should the House declare him not fit for that office? Here is a massive problem. Are you running an effective policing system in Nigeria? No. And the head of state is not even, to me, looking interested in how are we policing. And we must go back to history, because we've forgotten how the police was not properly kitted in the military regime. Because the military, especially in the Babangida days, we are afraid that if you over-kitted the police, they might struggle and strengthen, they'll be so strengthened that they might be the counter force against the army. And he didn't want that. So the army was more emasculated during the Babangida years.
The police, you mean?
The police was more emasculated. Yeah. And we've kept that system. So over the years, you're underfunding them, under-giving them capacity, under-training, and we're not looking at, should the police be serving the people or serving those in government? They should be serving the government. They should be serving the people, not those in government. And look at it. You keep so many people attached to commissioners, attached to governor, attached to president, attached to big men. Then they now keep collecting money from those. Say, if you want special security, you pay so much money. That money doesn't go into the coffers of the police to run policing, but it goes into I don't know where.
Private pocket.
So when you keep that system, you're only breeding corruption. So is the police meant for policing or meant for, is it a business enterprise? So those are questions we must ask. So if the president was interested, I think we should address it. And the federal house, legislation must look very, very closely at the issue of how we policing this country. Because you see, even the army, and one of the points that Yari raised as part of his renunciation of being a chief security officer, is that the army should go back to the barracks. Look, let's face it. What is the army doing around the place? It is because of our failing system. Every time there is police, army everywhere. Why should the army be everywhere? The army is meant for the integrity of the nation, external defense. But what is happening? They have now moved into internal defense, and that's not their job. Okay. So we ought to relook and rejig the security management, security architecture, and those who manage it. And in fact, Nigerians should join Yari in Abuja this morning.
Okay, so it doesn't look like, you know where I'm going to, but let me get, because I was coming to that point. Isn't this a call to action? This renunciation, like Uncle T talked about, this abdication of his responsibility, isn't this a call, like a wake-up call to the government of the day to urgently do something about the situation in the country?
One of the things I thank God for this government is that the government of the day is a government of opposition. It's a government that is sitting on the throne and is also acting opposition. You know, the Bible says the children of Israel left Egypt, but they are still going with the reproach of Egypt. One of the best things about this government is that you dare not criticize them. Whatever they are doing is the best. Even God Almighty is being criticized now by human beings. Some people have children, they ask God, God, why do you give me children, you don't give me money? Yet God didn't give them. Some people ask God, say, I've been married for a year, I even married as a virgin, I'm not pregnant now. Yet those people that were in Ugbawe and all the rest, they got married through the back door and they are doing, after plenty of abortion, they are having children almost every year. Yet God did not kill those people for the statement they have made. But the government or the center is a government that opposes itself. And when you look at it, the chairman of Governors Forum, if this one is spoken by Ayofayoshe now, Ekiti will be on fire. If it is spoken by maybe Udom from Akwa Ibom, that is leading protest, they say, oh, they are the ones sabotaging the system.
Oh,
but thank God now it is not chairman of Governors Forum who is crying out and said, renounce this. The cry of this governor ought to be the cry of Nigeria Bar Association. But it's like if you look at it from the beginning of this administration, you see that even civil society, everybody is dozer. It's like everybody has taken sleeping tablet and everybody is sleeping off. Even what Nigerians cried for before, nobody is talking. It's like, at times I ask myself, is it a spiritual siege that even those who were making mouth when Jonathan said fuel is going to be 100, they are still alive when fuel was taken from 87 to 140 something, we are buying 200 and none of them even shouted, including our senior advocate of Nigeria. All those who shot Lagos down, then they were all sleeping, even when the fuel got in, and people were still clapping. Even while we are talking about subsidy, and subsidy is being paid through the back door, with all these things that are on the floor, that we can see people that are corrupt seated in government and they are being shielded. Nobody is talking. Anybody that is talking, say that man, you see that man is still not a PDP-minded person. Now a chairman of Governors Forum. Like when Jonathan was in power, I make reference to so many things. I said ATM, BVN, TSA were all product of Jonathan. But today, when the government of the day is talking, like we are the one that have done it. We have even Kubwa, this railway something from there to Kaduna, that it was my set of Jonathan that you can be in Kaduna and be working in Abuja, and you go back. The government of the day have increased the fare now, saying because big men are already entering into it. But yes, can you point to the one you have done? I'm not a PDP man, I'm a Jesus teacher, I'm not a politician. But I'm just talking about sense. I'm talking about common sense now. The man, you call somebody chief security officer. I thought the people who are mandated, who know the law of the land, who knew that constitution and military constitution will be able to shout at that. Why do you call a man chief security of the state and the man cannot command a troop? He cannot even ask his own sergeant to go and do something that is following him. Yet, this one has come from a man who is the chairman of Governors Forum, of the party that is at the center. And the man is going to force headquarters to go and protest against his own party because he is not pushed to the wall. I told people that, you see, lamb or sheep does not have teeth. But until when they get to the wall, you will know that there's an automatic teeth that comes out when people are going through their challenge. The man has gotten to a level where people say, you can't be sitting and people are dying every day. That Zamfara, killing of people now is like a normal news. And yet we are seated. You talk about June 12 just now. All those ones are Ozigabuyaya. He said, when we give it to them, they're okay, the Southwest, everybody will keep quiet. But nobody is keeping quiet. Because I tell people, you have a problem, you go to beer parlor, you go and drink, you say the problem will be over. When you sleep and wake up and the drink is clear, your problem will come back in double. Nobody, I was telling my wife and some other few persons, I said after 1 week, nobody will remember June 12. I said because it is not the issue that is burning now. And everybody understood that this thing is coming because there is like a swap. Give it to them. You know, Nigerians, they like that when you give it to them, their attention will be up. We can't take our attention. Abiola have died. So many people have died. And what is our joy about June 12th? Is it our joy that journalists are not free to say what they want to say because of somebody coming back from the back and say hate speech? The people who manufacture hate speech in the time of the other government are today talking about hate speech. And that was the hate speech they used to come into power. Now they are not criticizing hate speech. And thank God, you can look at our nation. And a man that was indicted by a professor of law, who is a senior advocate of Nigeria and vice president of Nigeria. The man, the SGF is saying, I have access to presidents. I see him from time to time. Who is now fooling who? The man went ahead and said, EFCC will shame the vice president. That is to say the man already knew even what is going to be the end of his own case, even when the matter has not been taken to court. Then you now see the country we are finding ourselves in, that the man is leading protest now. If it's a PDP governor or one other, you say, yo, that man has been lured. These are you. They will come back and tell you now that Yari is an enemy of the president. He's one of the whole. You hear what another governor will say? He's a mole in our party. Because I have not seen the set of people that never want criticism and don't want to learn. Me as a bishop, people criticize even the preaching we preach, and we go back again to the drawing board. To every day. Yesterday I told them in church, I said anybody that is not aligned criticism, I said you check criticism and check what they are criticizing you for. Archbishop in the House of Blessed Memory said, when people criticize me, I look at the criticism and check if there is any iota of truth there. I adjust myself because I believe that God is using those people to check me. Then if it is wrong, if what they are saying is wrong, I throw it to the crusher and move ahead. But this is insecurity, for goodness sake. Nobody is talking. You hear people talking now, the man is coming back by force. You can see that even the vote of Nigeria, they were making us to know that either you vote or you don't vote. What is important now is for the man to come back. Even though if by the time he's coming back, half of Nigerians have died, it does not matter. But I feel that the time has come for us to look straight. We are talking about appointment of security chief. How do you appoint people and they are not performing and you keep them there? These men are kept there because of 2019 election.
Okay, Bishop, let me pause you there. This, as I asked the question a while ago, that this is about a call to action.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Yari, as the chairman of the Governors Forum, is not just stopping and making a comment. He's leading the way, perhaps for other governors who suffer the same fate to follow. But doesn't this bring us to the issue of state police, community policing?
Absolutely, absolutely. You see, we've been, this is a country that is perpetually in self-denial. And I think it is time, just like I said, there comes a time in the life of a nation when you come to a defining moment and when you move forward. And if you don't, you slip back. Right now, we've gone back and front about state police. I heard a Himekbem just in the other segment talking about, the reason why they don't want state police is because governors will abuse it. Okay, the federal government has been abusing national police. What are you talking about? So what's the difference? But what you do is create safeguards. Create safeguards. And therefore, and look at it. That security vote we're talking about, the justification is that the state government fund. And that is, in fact, if I was a lawyer and I studied my law properly, I'm sure I would have taken the federal government to court. Yeah. How can the state government be funding something that is federal? It's illegal. You shouldn't spend that money. You can't via the money. But yet we keep doing something that is wrong in this country and take it as a standard. So, if indeed we have continued to use state money to buy walkie-talkie, Hilux Jeeps, APCs for the police, and of course, the same police has voted from the federal government for the same thing, which means when the state government has spent the money, I'm sure they keep the money in the pocket. Otherwise, do you buy 2 APCs for So in any case, what we are saying is that if the state governments, and I will give an example of Lagos State about currently, Lagos State government has spent 6.2 billion to kit the police and also to kit neighborhood watch in Lagos. Do you know how much that is? So that's enough for Lagos State to run their own police using their own people who know the community, who know the environment, who know the challenges, and who can move more aggressively to gather intelligence and nip it in the bud. So this business of using all sorts of people, everybody has raised this issue. I don't know why nobody wants to look at it. The state government should not be spending their money to run federal police. But in any case, if we can, and have been doing that all through the years, it means we have enough capacity to run state police. And then, if you go down, we do community policing, where the people themselves are involved in their own security. Because, you see, we've not brought it down. And that is one thing a security expert, I've forgotten his name, he has both an Hausa and a Yoruba name. And he did say that until we teach the young children to talk, because those are some of the things we've not been engaging ourselves in. If we allow the young children to begin to ask, and begin to give suggestions, we might get out of this mess. Yeah. But we keep people, their mouths shut, nobody is talking. And the way we've been running even our policing, you dare not even run to the police and give a complaint because you say, if I go and tell them now, they may pick me up and they may now charge me for this. So everybody runs away. So at the end, are we keeping ourselves safe? There's no confidence between ourselves and the police. So we need to go into a new set of arrangement by which we engage ourselves and tell ourselves the truth. Change the constitution. Like the bishop did say, we need to go back to that constitution. You cannot say the chief security officer of a state cannot therefore have a state police. If you change it and remove it from the military, non-democratic, those were my words, a non-democratic military constitution which we have, and move it to a democratic constitution, then you can now begin to talk about state police, community police, federal police. And in any case, doesn't that create employment, let's face it, and create new structures? So what are we running away from what is creative and just allow one human being? He's there sitting in Abuja. So we all give our life to Kpotum Idris, all of us, 180 million people, and he's not able to seemingly do it. Then why don't we now come to what is rational? Give ourselves, and there was a study done many years ago in the University of Benin from the engineering department. And I tell you frankly, it was a conclusion that is still valid now, that Nigerians don't have capacity for manning large-scale systems. And so when you keep a man even in Abuja to run Nigeria, he doesn't have the tool, he doesn't have the mental capacity to do it. And that's why the system is failing. Because you see that in Abuja, you can't run the country from there. Bring it down to small units that you can manage. The minutiae, the small things, that is what we are capable of doing. So bring it down, and we are able now to get this country to run. So it is now time to address state police and use constitutional amendment to come to that. All those arguments people have been raising, getting afraid that governors are going to abuse it, let them even begin. And then you now begin to correct it. Why are people afraid of change? Why are people afraid of rising to something else? Because until we create it, we can't address it and correct it. After all, at my age, we grew up having native authority police. That's what we grew up in.
My father was
your father was one of the native authority? So we went from native authority police and corrected it and came to this statewide police system. So if that was the correction then, we can create state police, correct it, but I say keep a structure of community police, state police, federal police, and I'm sure plus Interpol.
Okay.
So,
I want to build on that because the people expected that to be part of the constitutional amendment. Of course, we know that it didn't actually see the light of the day, as it were. But somehow, events unfold that tends to take us in that direction as though this is the direction we ought to go. Yeah, I want to get your thoughts along those lines.
What I would suggest is that, number one, the National Assembly should rise now, because if they don't rise to right the wrong of this constitution amendment, it will be a problem, because they are already feeling the heat now. You can see what the IG is doing to both the Senate President and all the rest of them. So if there is no thing that will wake them up, if they are not even going to do it because of the masses, let them do it now, because somebody like Senator Misao, who was a whistleblower, we knew the crisis he is going through now, just for blowing whistle that 120-something billion is what is coming to Inspector General Police and all the rest. But the same government who said they needed whistleblower was the one that took the man to court again. You can see contradiction. You said whistleblower should come and blow whistle, and a senator blow whistle. Now that senator again became a problem.
Maybe he shouldn't have come from a senator.
He should have come from the masses.
From the masses, yes. Then that would make it more authentic.
And that senator
make it
was
more reliable.
Or should have used a vuvuzela instead of an ordinary whistle.
So you can see what we are talking about now. When a man at that status is able to blow whistle and was once a policeman and also a son of a retired AIG who has police blood running inside him, that have all details of all police operations, and at the end of it, who was also an ADC to governors, about 2-time governor. So we are not calling such a senator a novice that he doesn't know what he's saying, and also the federal government had to sue him on behalf of somebody. So what I feel is that, like my brother rightly said here, if the constitutional amendment from the National Assembly is goes through, I encourage them that since they are seeing that police is also being used by federal to hit them, they should use this opportunity to also amend this particular constitution. And also, I want to challenge the governor. If the federal government or the National Assembly is not ready to do that, let the governors on their own decide to liaise with the House of Assembly, create something that will look like a state police, even though they don't call it state police.
I'll come to you. Bostinik Basan is still here, and Tony Abolov is still here. But you made a point that we had to take a pause to enable us bring us the news. We're talking about the model to deal with this issue.
Now, if you, like I said, if the governors, because the National Assembly are having police heat now, and like my brother said here, that the federal government is abusing the use of the police. So what is the fear of us entertaining state police? If the federal government can say, this is my enemy, go after him. Go after him.
We're not aware that the federal government is abusing the police. No, let's correct that, Mr. Austin. You just give, for example, I think,
for example, we have seen it's not something that started today. That we see that all these things that are going on around us. You know, I told you that there was in Abuja when there's 200 police surrounded one man's house, and we don't have police in Benue to take care of the issues there. But one man who cannot run, who has a diplomatic passport and cannot run, so police surrounded his house. And those people that are helpless in the village, no police to guide them. So what we're saying is that if the federal government, by one way or the other, we see that there's an abuse sort of. So why are we afraid to use state police? And I said, if they discover, the National Assembly should wake up when the police also go after them. Now, if police can be withdrawn from principal officers and all the rest for one reason or the other, for interrogation, for whatever. So they should also wake up to make a law or amend the law so that there will be state police. And if they are not going that direction, the governor, who are the chief executive officer of each state, should liaise with their House of Assembly. All of us knew that there is no House of Assembly that is against any governor. Because there are two prayer requests of any governor. The first prayer request is that if you are going to be a governor, you must put local government chairman inside your pocket. The second prayer point is that our House of Assembly must become one of my departments, become a faculty in government house. It's not to all of us. So it's not a thing of lie. We are seeing even in our state here, we are House of Assembly relocated to one part of the government house, and they are running it like a faculty there. And so we are repairing this one.
But that is about to change with the autonomy of the legislature that has been signed.
Now, there's autonomy, there's a release of funds. But what I say is that in the real sense in democracy, every governor should be afraid of House of Assembly. Every governor should respect House of Assembly. And I give you an example that even in the days of Chief Lucky Binedo, when Matthew Weber was Speaker of House of Assembly, the man gave him his respect. There was mutual respect. It's not a walk into it to call him. The man gave the Speaker his respect. The man stood his ground, and the governor stood his ground, and things were going. It was not this one, come and meet me, come and sit down and take this thing. First reading, second reading can take place in the morning, in the afternoon. The third reading has taken place tomorrow, and it is passing so long. So it is not that time. So see, if people criticize me, I take criticism. And if I see that somebody who I don't like, so to say, is doing something good, I underline it. Not you castigating people and say this one is this one is that. I heard somebody in Punch yesterday, one of the commissioners, talking about him who served the former government, and in Punch he was condemning the government. He said, I served there. He said, but they have not done anything well. If you are not ashamed to serve in the government, you say you didn't do well. Why are you serving now? So what I feel is that the governors should go to their House of Assembly, liaise with them, bring them, they are the boys. Let us not deceive ourselves. House of Assembly are governor boys. So let them meet them and say, oh boy, the federal government is not looking at our direction. I, the governor of this state, I want to have state police, but we will not call it state police. And I will create employment for youth. It's going to go beyond our party, but we will bring people and get them trained. If it involves us to look for retired police officer, retired army officer, and bring them together, retired custom officer, and bring them together as a team, and let these guys be trained. We will not call them state police, but we will use them. They will be fully given all the law and backup so that they can also be trained in arms, intelligent gathering, and they will be able to foil. As we are talking now, my brother mentioned there that Benin is safe, other places. There are herdsmen killing people in Ishaland and other places. That they kill people. They killed an Ambrose Ali University student, 200 level. That the governor have to go and pay visit to the father of the boy. And they killed them. None of those guys were doing anything to them. So I can give you a report within those states that is more than 17 where they have gone and killed people, and it is herdsmen. So if we have a state police, so to say, not to call it state police, if the
federal neighborhood watch, like
neighborhood watch,
yes.
we call it neighbor to neighbor or house to house or whatever name we give to it.
Yes.
We can look for a name to capture. In the days of military, we have Operation Sweep, we have Operation Bala in Ogun State. Just look for a name and give to it. Let us not call it state police. Since the federal government is afraid of state police, let us call it one name and give them all the law and give them restrictions. Then the House of Assembly, since they are autonomous now in their funding, they and judiciary can check the excesses of the governor. If the governor is going to go beyond his boundary, we can use the House to checkmate. Since the House is not collecting money directly from the governor now, they will be able to maintain their stand to do something. We know it will take a long time before they will be able to say, let's stand against our government. But since money is coming directly now, they can tell chief executive officer and say, okay, this is what is going with neighborhood work, and we don't like it. We are summoning them. So if we do that, by the time all governors come together and do that in their respective states, we will be able to have security on ground. And the governor will control that particular neighborhood watch. It will not be that they need to call IG. Because IG is not there, his family is not there. So whatever is happening now, it will take him, before a commissioner will call IG, before he will get back to him, or anything that is happening in Ishan or happening in Agedebodi, will it have taken lives of people? Before the man will respond, we'll call him from all parts of the country. So even I pity the commissioner of police. I pity them because I'm close to so many commissioner of police. Before I know what they went through, many of them cannot sleep. And I tell you analysis, half of the commissioner of police in Nigeria, all of them have BP. Not because they inherited it, but because the tension that goes with the job. You can't, even when you have you can use your discretion. You can't use it, you have to call Abuja. What kind of stupidity or foolishness is that? That we wait for Abuja to eat snake. If snake enter your house, now we wait for Abuja to kill it. So why should, at this level, why we have young men who are roaming the street, who will enter this neighborhood watch, and we will train them in intelligence gathering, we teach them in security, in tactical, in defense, in identifying criminal and crimes, and most of the criminal acts that we will be so proactive about it, we nip it to the board, and it will happen. And don't be surprised that some of these children who are talking about another things, they can even come into the system, and because an idle brain is a workshop of the devil. That if we every state have resources to pay state police, even though if we don't call it state police, if we look inward and we take our eye off the revenue that is coming from National Assembly, we knew what we generated in Edo State here, but today we knew what the state is generating. It's fun. There are no ritualists that can gather the money they are making in those states here. So we make so much money because when you sniff, you pay tax, you piss, you pay tax, you say I go, you pay tax, you put you barrel, you pay tax. All this money should go into security. And these boys that are roaming the street, let's bring them into it and go to Israel. All those boys that are guiding us when we go to Israel, they are between the age of 18, 21, 22, 23. They are trained in all kinds of art. Even when American people come to visit Israel, they go as guides.
To them.
Yeah. So what stops us from teaching them this one? If you can buy gun for your political talks, what stops us of making people legalize neighborhood watch and make use of them?
But there's also concerns about them being thugs or agents.
No. Let's not think negative.
Okay.
And I'm glad, just by way, I was already getting ready to, in fact, to mention Israel as a model. For anybody who's even keen, the closest anybody can, there's a book written by Senga, Startup Nation, about the state of Israel. You see, we ought to use the Israeli model. And the Israeli model is that you must create the consciousness of security in every citizen. What we are doing is just not right. It's not the job of police. It's not the job of army. It's not the job of governor. It is yours, mine, his, our job.
As citizens.
As citizens. You know what happens? Israel is that even if you were a former general, once you are now moved into the reserve if you retire, and if there is any emergency, you are called up. And even the Israeli security situation is that when you come back from the reserve, maybe a young boy who's 24 is the commander, you come and serve under him. And it is about defending our nation, Israel.
Not about personality.
No, and they know that they are surrounded by enemies all over. So now that we have a security threat, we should move the language, or like they talk about the force majeure that you have in the oil sector. Once there is danger, you raise the tenor. or you raise the flag of security threat to another higher level. And that's exactly what we ought to be saying to ourselves. So when we use the Israeli model and teach everybody that, look, we have to be safe if we want to develop. Because right now, Nigeria is not thinking of investment. We're not thinking of growth. We're just thinking, can we live? Can we survive? Even we are worried, can we live to 2019? Can we even wait for that February 2019? So that is enough for anybody to be concerned. And that is why I think there is maybe I'm not the man really to say it, but there is the Edo Forum of Patriots. In July, there's going to be an Edo Security Summit. Okay. This is driven by the people themselves. To raise the level of concern of everyone in Edo State. And I think General Yakubu Gowon is going to come. Okay. Top security people are going to come into this state to come and discuss how can we make Edo State safe. So all these are attempts. And until we begin to create that consciousness that watch your neighbor, watch your neighborhood, watch who's coming. Yeah. I mean, take the idleness we've had in this state. Okay. You live in certain parts of Benin. Yeah. You just have hordes of people who ought not to be here. Yeah. Jobless people. Yeah. They say they are condemn iron. And they're coming with condemn iron. Who are they? Where are they coming from? Okay. They are doing wheelbarrow. They are doing, there was a time they were doing motorcycle. They were doing this.
That's no longer in vogue. So they choose business.
Right, but why should we not know who is here? What do they do? That's
what's
it.
Their name?
And what even moved them to come into this state? Yeah. What business do you have? And if you have no business here, out. Even if you came here as a beggar and you got no business, out.
Okay. All right, thank you, gentlemen, for your time looking at fight against insecurity, using Zamfara State Governor's abdication of that responsibility as a chief security officer as a case study. But the long and short of it all is that we need to look inward and develop the Israeli model of community policing, of neighborhood watch, get a collaboration between the state governors and their legislature to be able to put a law in place that will give some backing, legal backing, constitutional backing to neighborhood watch. Well, it's going to take employment, give employment to our youths, but most importantly, get our youths more relevant in the society through security. In some other environment, people are putting heads together to see how they can get communities involved in policing, particularly to check, some of these atrocities being committed here and there. But the bottom line is that security is a collective responsibility. We all have to be together, work together, think together, synergize ideas for us to be able to make impact. I want to thank you for coming, Bishop, and Tony Abolo, thank you for coming.
Thank you.